how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, The Lazy Bookworm. I'm Rebecca. I hope all of you are doing well, and in this video I am going to answer questions from the Evolution as a Reader tag. So I was tagged by the lovely Cathie from Books and Things, and this tag was created by Jack at Spread Bookjoy. Obviously this tag is all about how you have grown and evolved as a reader. But without further ado, here are the questions. The first question is about what you read. How has your taste in books evolved? Well, my taste in books in many ways hasn't changed. I still like the type of books I read in my 20s. I guess I would say that my taste in books though has broadened a lot. I am much more open to reading all kinds of genres of books, be it fiction and non-fiction, and even to a certain extent poetry. So yes, I would definitely say compared to when I was younger, my tastes in literature are definitely more broad. To take you through a little bit of a history lesson, obviously when I was a kid I was really into kids books, in particular books by Roald Dahl and the Choose Your Own Adventure series, I think both of which I've talked about. And when I was a teenager I didn't read a lot. I was too busy being a teenager. But when I was 16, that was when I was introduced to poetry for the first time. Now I did poetry when I was about 14, 15. We did some of Shakespeare's sonnets. Didn't get them, didn't understand them, went completely above my head. But I actually watched, when I was 16, I watched a documentary about the First World War, and the documentary introduced me to the war poets, and you know, they had readings from their poems and I just really liked them, and that kind of started me becoming interested in poetry. And so fast forward a bit into my 20s, I didn't read a lot of fiction, mainly because I was studying at uni at the time, university, and any reading I had to do, I did for university. And I don't know if you can relate, but it is a bit, when you're doing reading for university, when you are on your downtime, you want to do something else other than reading. I did read some fiction. I read quite a lot of Irvine Welsh, author of Train Spotting. I read Canadian author Douglas Coupland. I think that's his name, Douglas Coupland. I also read some of Bret Easton Ellis's work, particularly American Psycho, which I know is very, very controversial, but it is actually one of my favourite books. I actually still have the copy I bought when I was like 22. I also read a lot of modern classics such as 1984 and Animal Farm by George Orwell. I also read Brave New World by Huxley. I also read On the Road twice by Jack Kerouac, and I still don't get on the road. I only really started to really seriously read fiction again in 2020 with the lockdown. And I don't know why, maybe because, you know, it was a lockdown, I was at home, I was watching lots of Booktube, I don't know, but I just really, really felt the need to read some fiction. And I don't know why, but I really felt the need to read Victorian fiction in particular. And for me, it was kind of strange because up until that point I'd basically been avoiding Victorian literature like the plague. I've seen adaptations of Victorian books, and to me it just seemed like kind of depressing and dark and, you know, full of injustice. I thought during lockdown I'll give Victorian literature a go, and I'm so glad I did. I've really grown to love Victorian literature. Coming up to this year, I have been reading a lot of probably what you would call contemporary fiction, and particularly fiction from sort of non-Western countries. The second question is how you read. Has the format of your reading changed much? This has been a big change, particularly the last year. I used to be a person that loved physical books. I still love physical books. I feel that's, for me, the most comfortable way of reading is a physical book. When I was at uni, I did read books and articles on the computer or sometimes on my tablet. But for pleasure, I always read physical books. This year, I finally signed up to, my library has Libby, which is a sort of e-reader and a sort of audiobook service that I get from my library. I think it's available in other countries as well. I've actually really loved it. It's been great. I've read so many books on my phone as ebooks, but also I've listened to quite a few audiobooks, and I actually just find it's been really great because I feel with a physical book, and maybe it's just me, I'm one of these people that kind of likes to keep my own physical books maybe not pristine, but yeah, I'm not one of these people that can just chuck a paperback in my bag. I get a little nervous that the pages will get scrunched and I'll get marks on the book and things like that. So I just love the being able to read or listen to books on my phone because I feel it's so portable. I often listen to an audiobook when I'm walking to my bus or when I'm on the bus. That has definitely changed for me just in this past year, that I have got more into ebooks and audiobooks. I will always still have physical books. The third question is how much you read. Do you read more/less than previously? When do you read? Has how often you read changed? I definitely feel ever since lockdown I am reading more than I did in the previous couple of years. As I said, I definitely feel I'm reading more fiction than non-fiction. Before lockdown, I probably would have more said I was more a non-fiction girl than actually a fiction one. But I feel that's kind of flipped somewhat. When do you read? I tend to read just little bits throughout the day. I'm not one of these people that can sit down with a book, either be it a physical or an electronic one, and just sit there for like 3 hours non-stop reading the book. I can't do that. My mind starts to get distracted. Always been one of these people that would read for 10 or 20 minutes at a time, quite a few times a day. Has how often you read changed? As I said before, in terms of books, ever since lockdown, but also throughout the day, I feel I'm reading more often during the day, and I feel that has definitely been the case since I started Booktube. And that leads me on to the fourth question, which is how has Booktube changed you as a reader? Well, I would say firstly, as a viewer of Booktube channels, it has changed me a lot because Booktubers have introduced me to books that I may never have heard of otherwise, or maybe never picked up. And so an example of this is Kazuo Ishiguro and his book Never Let Me Go. I had never read any Ishiguro, and I may never have picked up Never Let Me Go if it wasn't for seeing a booktuber talk about it on her channel. So as a viewer, I get a lot of recommendations of books that I want to try. As a content creator on Booktube, I feel it's changed me a lot insofar as I read a lot more books. The second thing is with the sort of reading months on Booktube. For example, Jane Austen July, Victober, non-fiction November, and now in December, Cloak and Dagger Christmas. So I feel those reading months have been really good to sort of make me more focus on what I want to read, like what genre, what time period. And taking part in all those reading months has been awesome for me as a reader and as a content creator. The fifth and final question is tag some people. Well, as I say with every tag video I do, if you watch this and you want to do the tag, go for it. But I think I will tag Kelli from Kelli Reads a Lot, Lisa from Lisa in Bookland, Cathie from The Grim Reader, and Scott from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. That is the end of my evolution as a reader tag video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good week this coming week, the week just before Christmas. I'm planning to do a video next Saturday, the day before Christmas. Hopefully it'll be sort of like a Christmassy video. And so until then, I will see you later.